All right, hello, Idiots on Parade, the too ugly for TV podcast. We mock the news so you don't have to. With me, as always, is Jake. Wait, you're not Jake. Oh my God, Jake, you're black. What happened? You get a tan?
I
No,
understand.
that is Aloe Mean, ladies and gentlemen. Jake is having a herpes flare up, and hopefully he'll be better next week. But man, he's scratching like a madman down in his nether regions. I don't know. Does herpes make you scratch? I don't know what herpes does because I'm a
I don't
clean
know.
person.
I pictured it on his lips, and that's why he couldn't get on this.
Oh, that's the herpes most people have, the little cold sore herpes. No, I'm saying he's
Yeah.
got bumpy genitals.
Oh
He
shit.
was he did something bad, but yeah, Jake will be back. That's Aloe Mean, comedian in former Des Moines, or are you still Des Moines?
No, I'm in Iowa City.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was used to be Des Moines, but well,
Yeah,
you were supposed to be a guest, but now you're like a co-host. You've gotten upgraded. And you
that'll
know what
work.
that does for your pay?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, because nobody makes anything on this. We literally don't do anything. But all right. I sent you a bunch of news stories. I want to begin with the very last story that I read you, and I will let the readers in on what we were talking about. British comedian Reginald D. Hunter's live show canceled after audience members complained he made an anti-Semitic joke. A comedian's joke has been canceled by a theater following an accusation that his act included a joke that was anti-Semitic. Quick rundown, the joke itself. Let's see. Hunter apologized for what he called an unfortunate incident. We can get into that. But the comment was the Hunter made a comment about an abusive wife that was, quote, like being married to Israel. This caused two Israeli audience members to leave and complain. And as they were leaving, they were heckled by other audience members. I have thoughts. I will let you go first. Do you have thoughts?
I mean, it's ridiculous, and that probably made it worse that the audience heckled people as they left too. So then they had to write someone, and get
Yeah.
into a whole thing. But that's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy that it's still happening.
Well, I have so many thoughts. One, I didn't like reading that the audience heckled them, kind of. So here my initial thought is, how did they leave? Did you get up like, oh, I've got to go to the bathroom, or did you get up like, all right, I'm out? Like, did you make a show of leaving because you're so upset?
All right.
Um, because if you're just like, not for me, I'm gonna sneak out pretending I'm going to the bathroom but just leaving. That's one thing. If you're getting full on, I need to speak to a manager, that's another. That's my first thought. Two, I'm not sure Hunter should have apologized. It's nice that he did. He did say that somewhere it's his job to push boundaries, creating humor. I thought the comment was amusing. I thought it was funny. Not sure it's historically accurate, but whatever. There are people that have thoughts about both sides of it. But my favorite comment, this happened. Ella, did you see when Jim Florentine and three other comedians got canceled by I believe it was Seattle Washington Comedy Club? They fired them in advance.
No.
Okay, this was months and months ago, and the comedy club fired them because they heard, hey, they made these jokes that we don't like, so we're gonna fire them. This was like, I'm gonna pretend it was scheduled, that happened in May, and they were scheduled for October. It wasn't like you showed up, told a joke, you're fired, go home. It was they fired them in advance. But then they said the exact same thing as this theater. Um, they canceled due to controversial comments. The theater canceled due to controversial comments and defended the, quote, freedom of expression of artists. You don't get to fire someone and then say we support free speech. Either you understand that an artist might say something that offends someone, or you don't. They're literally playing both sides of it. They're saying you're fired, but we respect artists that try and have free speech. You don't get to do both. I thought that was insane that they released that comment.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've heard about people doing similar things, and then the comedian will set up a show at a nearby venue, and then that venue doesn't get that money.
Yeah,
That's how
I,
it goes.
that's what happened in, I think it was Seattle, where Florentine got rescheduled. I'm not sure about the
Oh,
other
okay.
ones.
So I might have heard of that then.
Yeah, and but it was literally, they said we are firing these acts. We remain we find artistic expression important. Either you do or you don't.
That sounds like they didn't mean to say that one of those things. So it doesn't make any sense at all.
But I don't know. How do you feel as a comedian? Do you think that there needs to be I before asking, I'll answer the question, then I'll get your thoughts. I think comedians can, and this is a poor way of putting it, but I can't think of any other wording, self-censor. Like personally, I I've heard a couple jokes about sexual assault that I think are funny. Nick DiPaolo had one. He said, "I saw a 300-pound woman wearing a rape whistle." I'm like, "Well, she's that's positive thinking on her part. She should wear two rape whistles, one for her and one for the rapist." Dude, I can't believe I'm doing this. Dude, get me off her. This is gross. I thought that was funny. But personally, I don't think I would ever do a sexual assault joke. I can't think of a joke about. Maybe I know I had one in the past, but it wasn't really about. But I think if a comedian is comfortable with presenting an idea, that comedian gets to draw quote unquote the line. And the audience gets to respond how the audience wants to respond, and the theater has every right. The comedy club has, hey, we're a comedy club that does this, but I mean, the idea that anybody complains about it, the comedian can say, "Oh, that comedy club doesn't like me because I talk about politics." Well, that's the comedy club's choice. Ultimately, the comedian gets to decide what they want to say. The audience gets to decide how they want to react. I, okay, here's where I'm going with this. My problem is I don't like catering to the crybabies. It's, as they said, two people had a problem with the joke. If the
Yeah,
entire audience booed, then the comedian knows, hey, I need to drop that joke or I need to workshop it. Something about that joke didn't work. But when two people leave and an entire theater goes, oh, well, we can't have that here, you, who the fuck are you pandering to? It should be
yeah,
majority rules. If it's funny, it's funny. And you're not going to make everyone happy regardless. Everybody's going to like different jokes. Thoughts?
yeah. The only time I think a comedian should be censored, as far as being fired or not being paid for something, is if it's established before the show. You got to be clean. You can't say this, the corporate gig, whatever. But if it's just a comedy show and there's no pre-established rules, then prepare to be offended. Some people, and you're not going to like everything. And if you don't, then don't come to that guy's next show. That's all there is to it, really. But to fire him and then to do it in advance from a joke that was said before, it's crazy. It's weird, and it's crazy that it's still going on after all this time.
Yeah, I haven't thought of this in years. I won't say the comedian's name, even though I'm going to praise him. Uh, this might have been 10 years ago. I was opening up for a comedian. We walked into a comedy club and I had given him a ride from a hotel. We walked into the comedy club and we each got handed an envelope. And we both opened our respectives and started looking. And he went, ugh, and left the club. And I'm like, interesting. And I looked down and it said, here are the guidelines you will follow when performing. Don't use the F-bomb. Oh, don't. There were the whole, and what happened was, I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ. All right, I guess I'm going to adapt. He went outside and he could do this, called his manager, and his manager called the comedy club and said, this was not part of the original agreement. You can either pay him now and he'll leave, or you can knock it off with that bullshit because you
Yeah.
hired my client to tell jokes and he's going to tell them how he wants to. And that's ultimately what happened is they, oh, okay, fine, whatever. But what you just said reminded me of that. Have clear established boundaries
Way before I show up.
way
Yeah,
before
that's
I show.
crazy.
Yeah, I've been in that situation where I've showed up and they're like, we want a clean show. I'm like, all right, I can do that. It would have been nice to mentally prepare for it. Like I'm not offended or taken by surprise, but I know quite a few like I heard a story about the club's not there anymore. I can't think of what it was called. It was in Portland, Oregon. Henry's Comedy. I There was a comedy club and the guy told a story about this young comic that showed up and he said, "Here are the guidelines." And the comic said, "No, that's not how I work." And he went, "Oh." And it was Louis C.K. And this was before he was famous, but he just said, "Fuck you." And I don't know. Part of me likes that belligerence, but another part is, God, when you have no power or clout, the club can just fire you. If you have a manager, yeah, the manager can have your back and say you got to pay him. You or me, we show up and they're just like, "No, you're fired. We're not paying you for the week." What are we going to do? Take them to small claims court, turn it into a whole thing? Maybe we,
Right,
but we don't have the time or the power to do it.
right. Yeah, that you gotta just take that L in those cases. But it's one of those things you live and you learn. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of expected things that don't happen when you're doing this thing. That's what I'm learning in my 5 years of doing it.
Yeah. I guess when I say that I wish he hadn't apologized, maybe they broke it up because his quote is in two places. if he had said it all at once, I think that's probably how he did it, where he said, "Hey, it was an unfortunate incident. I'm sorry, but part of my job is to push boundaries." I can buy that. I'd said that I wish he hadn't apologized, but I can see wanting to toss a bone while maintaining artistic integrity. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
apologize if you were offended or something along those lines for those two people who left, but yeah, it's nuts that it's still happening.
But not like I will learn to do better. I'll make less different jokes. Yeah. So,
I'll change my act.
all right. That's story one out of the way. Let's get into some other news. Um, which one do I want to jump on? I sent I sent a link to a Twitter profile. His name is Mr. Weeks. He posts under Wonder King 82. Did you go to his profile and scroll and check out anything he's been up to?
Is that the was it a black dude?
It's a black dude who is fucking going after the Trumps. He said he's a nanny, child care in New York City, and he is tossing out so much shit on Barron Trump that he would hit his nannies, he tortured little animals, that he was a belligerent little shit, and he is so defiant that he's putting there like, fucking sue me. I got receipts. Bring it. And it's interesting because this hasn't made any mainstream news, but it was pretty big on Twitter that he's basically all right. Barron's 18. I'm gonna start calling him out on his shit.
I wouldn't. I
Fascinating.
don't know why that would be surprising to anybody that that the son of Donald Trump, a second generation spoiled brat, is a spoiled brat. Like I wouldn't. That's not surprising to me at all.
No, and there was one that I found that I thought was fascinating. It said there was a video of him when he was very young, and he had a Slovenian accent, and everybody said that goes to show you that he spends all his time with his mom and zero with his dad. And for a I really thought about that because there was a period of time where everybody felt sorry for was that Minnesotan? Sorry, Canadian. They felt sorry for her because they would show videos of him trying to hold her hand and she'd pull it away like, oh, that poor woman's trapped. Like she's got to be kind of a cunt too. I mean, she married him. She's a vicious,
Well, yeah, it
and then she
was ordered from a catalog. Yeah,
yeah. But then she came out with her anti-bullying initiative on Twitter, and instead of saying I don't want kids being bullied, she said I have been the most bullied person on Twitter. It's like, oh yeah, she's a horrible person too. So even if he didn't get it from Donald, she is a I married this rich man just for the money, and so I can treat servants like shit. And
right.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I feel like that Eastern European culture is a little bit cold and a little bit not as warm as our normal culture is. So I'm sure there's some of that. And you add a lot of money on top of that. It's just yeah, I'm above you. That type of attitude.
yeah. Do you think? Now, when I said this has only been 1 week worth of shit posting, do you think this will take off? Do you think it'll die down? Do you think he'll get a lawsuit against him, a cease and desist? Because
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
sure that's probably coming from Trump and his wife, but I mean that's all they do is sue people and get sued. But I don't think it'll get too much news because he was a kid and um, no one's really surprised. It's Trump's kid. His dad's an
yeah,
asshole, his mom's probably an asshole. It's like that's all they do is they're mean to people and talk shit. Unless you like Trump and say that you like Trump, then he'll be nice to you for that moment. But if you go against him at all, then he's gonna flip on you. And I've seen that ever since forever with Trump. That's just the way it's always been.
yeah. As soon as you do, like Michael Cohen, for just one example, was a great lawyer. He had his back. Like, oh, this is until he, got arrested and said, I'll testify. So he was the worst lawyer ever. He retains these people for 5, 10 years, and then suddenly they were the worst person ever. Like, okay, sir, this is poor reflection on you. If he was the worst lawyer ever and you held on to him for 5 years, that makes you kind of an idiot.
Yeah, yeah. He knows what he's doing though. He knows that it doesn't matter for his people that support him. It doesn't matter really what kind of he says. It's all about the really it's all about the abortion thing. The main people that I think are elected Trump support him is that one cause. As long as he's gonna get that overturned as much as he can and allow that to happen, then that's the biggest supporter of I think it's those fundamental Christians who are backing him the most, and the rest are just crazy people who like crazy people talking shit. It
Well,
really is.
I hear you, and I don't disagree with you at all. It's the Roe versus Wade was step one. Now a federal ban, I think, is what they want as step two, and because
Yeah,
they're going after the morning after pill, which I mean, I don't like abortion. I've got kids. I get it. It's also not my place to make a choice for anyone else. But to me, the simplest solution would be, hey, fucking give out the morning after pill like it's Halloween candy. If
yeah,
you have unprotected, because I know that right to life people always say, oh, most women don't know if they're pregnant by 6 weeks. You can't have an abortion ban. All right. If you have unprotected sex or something happens, you should be taking that pill the next day. Like, oh man, I did something dumb last night. I was drunk, taking a pill. The fact that the right to lifers, did I use that twice? Pro choice are the ones that say you can't have it after 6 weeks. I might have fucked that up in my head. Um, the right to lifers, the fact that they go after the pill, it'd be like that should be like a win-win solution. Okay,
yeah. That's
we
right.
don't want any fetuses getting anything happening to them unless it's a medical emergency, blah, blah, blah. But a little tiny clump of cells that's just microscopic and nothing, yeah, take a pill the next morning and flush it out of your system. The fact that they go so insane hard against that as what they want next, that's kind of bullshit.
Yes, it's a crazy reach, and it's just a I don't know. They just want to dominate that whole issue and just have it be all them. I don't. It's a weird thing because it's like once you're born, then they don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
Especially for poor people who can't and shouldn't have kids, they'll just like keep pumping them out, and they'll either make soldiers or prisoners.
Yeah. Yeah. You did say one thing I want to not correct, but expand on. You said crazy people that just support him. I went to high school. I'm still friendly with a few Trump supporters that are, it's not that they're crazy. It's just that they're monumentally stupid. And and we can talk about it. I sent you a picture. I was going to talk with Jay. We have a troll that shows up on our videos and says stupid shit about, us being brainwashed by the liberal media. But I have very stupid friends that literally only watch Newsmax, OAN, and not even Fox because Fox isn't right enough for them anymore.
Wow.
And they don't, when I point out something that's wrong, or one of my buddies posted a quote. I don't remember the exact fuck. But I said that quote is taken out of, said, you got that quote from Newsmax. He goes, what does it matter where it comes from? If it's a quote. And I said, because of context. See, what they do is and all media does this, MSNBC does it, but they take a paragraph and they'll cut down to the sentence that makes the most sense to their viewers, that is most effective to get their outrage going, and then they post that. And that's what they did is they took a quote out of context and posted, you should be angry at the Biden administration because of this. But when you saw the overall, it was a testimony in front of Congress. When you saw the full testimony, you realized, oh, yeah, that was one sentence. Overall, he got challenged and had to backtrack. It's anybody that lives in an echo chamber, the morons that support Trump, or not Biden so much because there were never any diehard Biden fans. Let me ask you a question.
No.
I the Kamala taking off, the cult of personality thing. I don't want to say that I find it well, I do. It's just sort of odd to me because at least with Biden, you could say, yeah, I'm holding my nose and voting for him, but what else can you do? The idea that people are wrapped up in Kamala Harris, it sort of in a way reminds me of Trumpers. It's like, okay, she's still a politician. You can like her, but you still don't need to wear a t-shirt or there are no Kamala flags. You just vote for who you're going to vote for. I don't need to see it because I don't know. Even if Biden was losing, I held in my own head, okay, at least nobody's like, yay, Biden. And it's I suppose neat to see people are enthused about the Democratic side, but I also have a little hint of just just vote for her, but you don't need to join a cult of it. Do you have any
Yeah, it's
thoughts on
really
that?
no, yeah, it's really gross on both sides, but I think it's just a response to how much there is with the Trump side and the fact that they have this now sense of relief that there's someone who can actually compete against Trump, and they see that the Trump side is actually scared of her as far as the enthusiasm that she's creating with her, being the new nominee and everything, and Biden being put aside. But yeah, it's really gross. I don't know. I feel like one of the things I kind of miss just being born in this generation is just I feel like when I was a lot younger, people just politics wasn't as in your face, and people didn't. It wasn't like Ford and Chevy. It wasn't like Bloods and Crips. It's like gang related stuff. It's just weird, and people get I don't know. It's so weird. People's attachment to these ideas and these people who are far from perfect.
And far from perfect, and they're not our friends.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about people. Yeah,
It's we're not hanging out with them. It goes all the way back to George Bush versus Gore. Who would you rather have a beer with? Well, that's
yeah.
not the who cares? I
You're
mean,
never gonna have that beer with
yeah, the
them.
personality isn't, but if you want a quick history lesson, I'll give you one. It was always civil a disagreement, and then Newt Gingrich came along and the Whitewater investigation on Bill Clinton, where they said, okay, he's been doing shady land deals. Oh, we can't find anything at all about it. Let's just attack him on blowjobs with Monica. That turned things. It settled down a little, Bush versus Gore, even though there was the contested election, because they were so boring. And then Kerry Bush was benign, but it kicked back up once Obama got elected because the Tea
Oh yeah,
Party went fucking insane. And
yeah.
ever since the Tea Party came in, and since 2010, it 2012 was not as bad as 2010. It was a little more reserved because Mitt Romney was more respectful. He was more dignified, and McCain was fine in 2008. He McCain was good. It was just the Tea Party in 2010, and then 2016 we saw what happened, and ever since 2016 when it became the cult of Trump. And I hate to sound like someone that's going to blame him, but it is because all the other Republicans are enablers. You read the stories about how they talk about him in private and how they insult him and say they wish they didn't have to be beholden to him, but then nobody breaks rank because if they do, they become Liz Cheney. They become an
Yeah,
outcast. I want to say Adam Hunzinger, but either way, yeah, you can't break
a lot of
ranks.
that's because of his crazy amount of support that he has, and with all the people who show up to all these rallies that they pay for. But I think a lot of it is just they know that Trump, while he'll say the wildest shit in the world on TV or wherever, he'll do what they want him to do. He'll do basically he'll toe the line for the most part, but he'll say wild shit that they don't want him to say because it'll make them look bad, make them look stupid. But I think another big part of all this stuff changing and people becoming so divided is the launch of social media.
Yeah,
Everybody having all this information in their pocket, immediate, combined with so much false information being put out there, so much algorithm based, feeding you more of what pisses you off, what makes you happy, just feeding you more and more, and everybody just being attached to that. That's what's causing this crazy divide. But then when you're out there in the real world, people aren't that nuts with each other, except for their flags and stuff. It's weird to me though.
no, it's a great point because I've talked about this in the past. Like you and I do comedy in red areas, blue areas, purple areas, and I don't know what you run into, but I've told a um questionable religious joke that gets a huge pop in conservative areas because first of all, they're at a comedy club, so they're even as they're there because they know, and maybe it's the way I tell it. I know what I'm getting into, but it's not like fuck you in your face. It's like, we're joking here. And they're like, that's us, like they get it. But you post that same joke on Twitter and it's going to get divided up and people can be angry at it because it's out of context and because they're not at a comedy club. Like you
Yeah,
said, when you are in person, there's a sense of give and take and flow and conversation. Online, you only have to react. That's all you have
yeah,
to do. You don't have to listen. You don't have to think. You can just react.
yeah.
And you're absolutely correct. A
And you're also
combination.
reacting from wherever your mind state is at the moment, which could be shit just because you're at your boring, terrible job or something, or your kids crying in the background. So you're acting with that type of energy. It's a weird, silly thing. I also think it's crazy that when you go on Twitter, if it's not like a video, if it's just text, text can be taken. The tone of text. there's no inflection of your voice. There's no smile with text. It's hard to understand intent with just text.
I talked about that back in the days of MySpace, and it got turned into a great Key and Peele sketch where everything you're saying, um, fuck you, fuck you,
Yeah,
fuck you. I
yeah,
mean, you just read that was three presentations of the same two words, and depending on the mood you're in, the Key and Peele sketch I just referenced, are you familiar with it?
I don't think so. I might have seen it.
They're texting back and forth, and Jordan is sort of relaxed, maybe getting stoned, I think. But either way, he's just sort of, "Hey man, what's up?" And Keegan's hot. He's hot. He's like, "Where the fuck were you? We were." I'm making this up. Where the fuck
Yeah,
were you? We were supposed to meet. Oh, sorry, man. My bad. You're bad. Yeah, it's your fucking bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And but when he reads, he's like, "You're bad. Yeah, it's your fucking bad. Yeah, it was." But it's two different communication levels, right? And
yeah,
that just builds and builds with Jordan staying mellow and Keegan getting hotter. But yeah, you literally don't know. It's what you are bringing to a text, and it's
yeah,
what you are bringing. And with social media, the idea of influencers or influence. Say I post a joke. Say the religious joke I talked about. If that is seen in a neutral setting, someone's going to react however they're going to react. But if someone adds text to it, hey, look at this fucking asshole, and they post it in a group, then everybody, yeah, fuck him, fuck him. But if they're like, hey, this is pretty funny, and they post it in a comedy group, oh, that is pretty funny. Wow, I like him. I should follow him. It all depends on where you
oh
hang
yeah,
out and what you are told to think as
yeah,
someone is presenting it to you.
yeah. You see all those videos, comedian destroys heckler, all these different things, and then sometimes it's not even close to what the title says it is. It's yeah. You see, the sometimes the headline with anything can mess up what actually is going on.
I saw a headline. I wonder if I still have it. I can pull it up. I didn't send it to you. I know exactly where it is. Let me grab it. Let me grab it. So here we go. A true tragedy. Ohio woman killed by man in Taco Bell drive-through line in murder suicide. Now, that's the headline. That was the thumbnail, the clickbait on the aggregate site from, and when you click on it, the very first thing you see is trigger warning. This story contains mention of suicide. If you are at risk of suicide, please stop here and contact 9. It's in the fucking headline. This story contains mention of suicide. Well, we already know that because that was your clickbait. Hey, everybody, it's a suicide story. We want to get your attention. And I thought that was hilarious because, yeah, you're putting it right there. But then your first thing is
Right.
this story contains what you said in the headline. Jake and I have talked about this. One thing I like to do is I like to find stories where the clickbait headline is misleading because it'll say something sensationalistic and then you click, it's a very benign story. But they do
Yeah.
that too.
That's one of the biggest things they do. Yeah. That's how they get you.
Well, let's move on to our next story. Well, let's stay on Trump for just a second since I brought up that guy. I thought this was hilarious. This happened a couple of weeks ago. Where is it? Um, nope, 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 nope. Well, either way, I know it's motherfucker. Either way, Trump, he did it twice. I saw one story. I sent it. We didn't talk about it. I saw it again. Trump, in two separate speeches, brought up that Kamala Harris wants to have people stop saying Merry Christmas. You said earlier when we were talking about the canceling comedians bullshit, the guy getting fired, and how is this still happening? How in 2024 is they want to cancel Christmas still a talking and selling point to scare people? I
It
How do they
works.
still
It
use that?
riles
How do
people
people
up.
still buy it? Go, oh my God, they want to take away Merry Christmas. Fuck the Democrats. I'm voting for Trump. And he said it. There wasn't any hint of irony. There wasn't any sort of like wink at the. Oh, we know this is bullshit, but we need. He said it. He meant it, and the audience was, bruh. This is.
Well, he
This
said
is the boy
earlier.
who cried wolf times 10. It just every fucking election cycle. It's almost as bad as, oh, we're having an election. Hey, let's talk about a migrant caravan. It happens every time, and the same fucking morons fall for it.
Yeah.
How?
You said it earlier. They're dumb. There's a lot of them are just really dumb and just gullible. where was I was somewhere in some place, some shipper. So, I drive trucks, so I go to a lot of these weird little towns. And some shipper had one of those metal signs on in their office that said, "In here we say Merry Christmas, we stand for the flag, blah blah blah." Like this is a professional business. Like, okay, okay. Like I've seen signs where it's like Happy Holidays crossed out and then Merry Christmas underneath it. Like it's just people are dumb and they get riled up. And sometimes I wonder if they're trolling or is that dumb. So I feel like sometimes it could be people just trolling just to get the other side riled up.
I would love if it was just trolling. Like I do that sometimes. I did it once in mixed company, and this woman sort of she didn't pull me aside, but when we had a moment alone, she goes, I need to ask you something. What happened was I'll say it at the drop of a hat. Like this morning, someone was tying their shoe, and I said, "What are you doing tying your shoe?" "No, we don't tie shoes around here. That's for queers and liberals. This is Trump's America." And I'll just throw it out there for no reason, like, "Oh, you're putting on a hat. We don't wear hats here. Queers
This
and
is Velcro country.
right." And so people that know me obviously they laugh. They get that I'm just being a fuckhead. That there first of all it makes no sense. You don't tie your shoes. This is Trump country, but it's obviously over the top. But this woman was like, I got to ask you, you're not really voting for Trump, are you? And I'm like, but so I do troll occasionally, and yeah, you get taken seriously even when you are obviously over the top. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
if you troll with a sign, as you said, when it's just words printed, fuck, that's just out there for interpretation.
yeah, yeah. It can go any way the wind goes.
All right. We're running out of time because we're cheap over here. We're on the free Zoom plan. So, well, we've been picking on Trump. Let's praise him. I sent you a video of the best goddamn thing in the world. I love this so much. And it's real. Who I don't know, I forgot who released this. There is a Trump Fight for America. Who is selling it? Is it just the Trump campaign? I can't. Trump Fight for America collects. I can't. Oh, it is by Donald. Get that fucking off there. There's a pause. I can't see. There's a line on the video right over the words I want to see. But either
Oh,
way,
is it a $2 bill thing?
the $2 bill. They took Donald Trump's fight, fight, fight after he got shot, and they've taken a real $2 bill, and then they've posted a picture. They've plastered a picture over the half of the $2 bill with Donald Trump fight, 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 and they are selling it not for $29.95 because it's a $29.95 value, but for is it 19.95 or 19? Either way, you
Yeah,
can buy this commemorative $2 Donald Trump bill, legal tender. Probably not because it's been messed with, but it was once
yeah.
legal tender. But oh my God, it is beautiful. If I were so rich that I could wipe my ass with $100 bills, I would waste $20 on this because I'm stupid. But my God, anybody out there, you have to. Oh, I can give you the website www.trumpfightforamericabill.com. Trump fight 1995. You can get a $2 bill that's had him. Is that not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Man, when I first saw it happen, I first saw that's why people have all these conspiracies about it being staged on both sides.
Yeah.
But he just knows how to capitalize and move merch. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's the best at it, and I mean, he's the ultimate capitalist. I mean, that's all he does. Any opportunity that he has to make himself look great to his sycophants, he just does it and does it well.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, okay, this is what you just said is true. I'm a moron. So I see that, and my first thought is, oh my God, what a great T-shirt. Fight, fight, fight. That picture from the low angle with the
Yeah, with
flag
the
back.
flag in the back. Oh yeah.
And yet he takes it to that next level. No, it's not a T-shirt. It's a $2 bill. Like, oh my God, that's great. That's
It's
better than
brilliant.
his gold tennis shoes. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness. My limited mind says poster, T-shirt. He goes straight to $2 bill. You gotta
Yeah, I
love
think he's had other. I feel like he's had other bills before.
Has he?
like a
But I know
while
he's done
ago.
coins,
Coin
NFTs. At least with
plates.
this one, you get something. The NFT, you don't get shit. The
Yeah,
Trump as a firefighter NFT, the
yeah,
cosplaying of having an actual job. But
yeah. He
all right,
moves merch.
we are out of time, so I will say that you can find me at nathantimmel.com. Everything you need is there. I do have a t-shirt store. There are over 50 designs that you can peruse and find something to select and purchase. There's a link from my website to a 1 hour comedy special on YouTube that you can watch for free. So that's nathantimmel.com. Aloe, promote the shit out of yourself.
Aloe Mean on Instagram. That's pretty much about it. On Facebook, you can see. I don't have anything online really except for stuff on Kill Tony. Yeah, I've been on Kill Tony a few times. Watch that. That's
Nice.
about it.
I really quick. I go all the way. We'll bookend this with the very first thing we talked about with the last thing. Kill Tony. He got in trouble. Quote canceled a little bit. Dropped by one agent, I think, for he made fun of it. But that's his shtick. If you go in, like, whether you think it's funny or not, I'm not going to repeat his comments. I didn't think they were funny, but I got it. He has a right to say them. But he went hard after an opener, making fun of his ethnicity. But again, if you know who he is even if you don't, you can just sit there and like, all right, I don't like that. But the idea that, management, like that's why
Yeah, that
he got management doing what he does. And then, well, now you took it too far and you take it away. Come on.
he that thing was orchestrated by some, I think, some people on that other side that were, because he had gotten into a little beef with Asian guy at another show that I was at, and
Okay.
I had, yeah, I was at the show where it first started, and then he had been working with this guy and done that joke before, and then he did that joke, and it was all chopped up, put online. It's just this little clip. He dropped his original management, dropped him, but he got so much bigger management now.
Yeah,
Like
you got
it's crazy. It didn't. He got the opposite of cancel. It boosted his career like crazy.
the same thing happened with Matt Rife. He put out his Netflix, and I did talk about that. I made a video about that. He put out his Netflix special. People started screaming about, you're making fun of domestic abuse. Cancel Matt Rife. Again, whether you like it or you don't like it, to scream about it, he got signed to two more Netflix specials because
Yeah,
this was after the noise. So I guess the moral of the story is if you don't like something, that's great. You don't like it, move on with your fucking life. Aloe, thanks
yeah,
so much for saving our ass since Jake canceled last minute.
yeah.
Glad you
No
were able
problem. Thanks
to
for having me,
go
man.
from guest to co-host. Thank you so much, my friend. Can't wait
No
to
problem.
bump into you. You're gonna go down to wait, are you on the Red Room Tuttle's first one back?
Yep, yep.
I will hopefully come down and see you there.
Nice, nice.
All right. Thanks for hanging out. Bye everyone.
Yep. Thank you.